So I think this is going to work to start. I've got 6 ideas for turf plots here. Time to seed this shade area. There's more leaves coming down today, of course, and this is going to be an ongoing thing for the rest of the year. So the likelihood of this going fantastically well is not good. I'm going to need to do some more work in the spring, but that's okay. We'll get started on it right now, and at least we'll have something here before we get to next year. Yes, I'm fully aware that I need a backpack blower, but I just don't have one yet. You know, sometimes that's how things go. You just use what you have. I'm just gonna do a quick cleanup on the rest of these leaves. It's not gonna take very long. Get the seed down. I'm probably gonna take my drag over it. Not dig back into the soil, but just go over it with the drag to smooth things out. Put the seed just slightly under the soil. That's gonna be whatever it is until it rains, which we still haven't had any rain, so oh, it's been a crazy year for sure. Really wish that we could get just a nice rain after I get this seed down. What I'm gonna go with today is a brand new thing that I don't even have on my store yet. I'm gonna work on testing this and make sure that I like the cultivars that are going in here before we go too crazy with it. But this is gonna have some creeping red fescue, chewing fescue, hard fescue, a perennial ryegrass, and then a Kentucky bluegrass. And right now, with the way shortages are going, especially on fine fescues and ryegrass, it's just going to be interesting over time to see what we can find and what's going to be available, because there's a lot of shortages, as you know, but also there's a lot of shortages on fine fescue too. So in general though, fine fescues are going to be what's going to be the most shade tolerant, and that's what I'm going to test down here. I want to test this mix out and kind of see how I like it. I'm going to be mowing it probably about 2 inches or so, somewhere around there. We'll see how low I can go with just a regular rotary mower and kind of keep it nice. But I don't want to go too tall on the fine fescues, just my personal preference. Crossing our fingers, like I said, that it might actually rain sometime and get this thing going. Gotta go get the drag for the 4-wheeler and drag this in. So you can see this is an area right here, kind of what the seed looked like before I put the drag on it, and then afterwards you can see how it just lightly covers. You're still going to see some of the seed up on top of the soil as well, but some of it definitely just gets lightly pushed underneath, and there's some top dressing right on top of it then. That's just going to help to have a little better seed to soil contact. Alright, so now I'm going to put down just a little bit of 10-10-10. Something balanced when you got nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium on new seed is, you know, always going to be something that works fairly well for the most part. It is time to actually put some seed down in this section. Of course, it did not rain in any of the other areas that I worked on, but I'm just going to get some seed down. This was a section out here that I'm planning on just seeding a bunch of tall fescue. This is all just going to be natural irrigated, and we're going to see what happens with it. Kind of just as a test, and also because I wanted a larger area that will be fun to mow. So I've got some of my fescue today. I'm just going to throw down as much as I have in this section. We'll see how far it goes. I pretty much just cleared out my shed and was like, let's just bring everything out here. My friend Paul let me borrow this spreader of his. This is what we used out on his property last year, and that should work fine. Probably like, maybe like a 4, and we'll see how that starts. This should fit 2 bags, I think. It's really kind of tough to see it in the field, but I can definitely see got pretty good even coverage. I'm gonna go get my regular spreader and try to do 1 pass through here lightly with the last bag that I have, just to make sure I have pretty even coverage. So I'm gonna try to mark this out now, basically sort of where I want to, so I understand where things stop, right there. So for the rest of this area, I'm gonna be putting down a winter ryegrass. Now this is not a turf grass that I'm gonna be mowing or anything like that. It's just gonna be used as a cover crop. I'm gonna go put this all out on that other section, all the stuff that I did. This should be 1 bag per acre. Today it is finally time to seed these test plots, and it is a little later than I really would have wanted, but the way this year has been going, 1, things have just been so crazy the whole time that it's been really difficult to catch up. I'm just so busy all the time. But 2, I don't know what's going on, but it's just not really looking like it's going to cool down, even in the 10-day forecast. Maybe after that, it's just going to come off of a cliff and we're going to go to freezing temperatures. You just never know when you live here in the Midwest. But what I'm going to do right now is just put this seed down. The way I kind of look at things always is, even if it's slightly late, it's still September right now. That's not terrible. But also, if I can even get any coverage of this to come into next spring, that would be a lot better than just starting completely in the spring, in my opinion. Some other people might have a different opinion on how you like to seed, but for me, I like to just get some coverage here, keep working on it in the spring, keep working on it next fall, and hopefully by that time frame, everything should look pretty good by then. But this is always a journey. Lawn care is always a journey. Let's get started today. And for the first time ever, I actually bought a drop spreader, so I will not be broadcasting this all over the place like I usually do. Now, I've done enough seeding in my life to kind of know what coverage looks like when I have good even coverage. But today, in order to really do this the right way, especially when I'm doing test plots, these are all 500 square feet. So I'm going to measure out whatever pounds I need to cover that area. So of course we're doing ryegrass first, but I have 500 square feet, but I am going to measure this out at 7 pounds per 1,000 square feet. So I'm gonna put 7 pounds in the hopper, and then I'm just gonna visually get about half of that gone. You can put your exact amount in there, but from what I found, sometimes it's hard to get that last little bit out evenly. Maybe it won't be, but I'm gonna test that out today. I usually just double it to make it easy, 7 pounds, and then half of that should go onto the plot. So tear that off there. I don't think this scale will do 7 pounds at a time, but 3 pounds on the dot. Like I said, it's kind of hard to see with the sun, but I'm just gonna take a visual here of where the seed is at when I put double the amount that I need into the spreader, and then I will see about half of that go out. Now, again, this doesn't have to be absolutely spot on precise, but as close as you can possibly get it is awesome. So 1 pass, that was pretty light on the setting, but the nice thing about those drop spreaders, and a nice thing about starting slow, is that you can make sure that you're not putting out too much and you don't have one whole line that's like all of a sudden you put out all of your seed in one line and you don't have the rest of it covered. So definitely start small, watch it coming out, and then you can kind of get a judgment of how light it is or if you need to bump up your setting. But definitely I'm gonna go over it a couple times to make sure I have really good even coverage. And also on the drop spreader, it's kind of nice with those wheels because it kind of rolls things in as you go as well. So let's keep going. Now I can go ahead and measure and see how much I put down on the ground. I didn't fit all of it into that container. There's just a little bit more left in the spreader here. But I wanted to put about 3.5 pounds on that 500 square feet, so I can go just a little bit more. But that's kind of how you get an idea of where you're at. Try to make it as accurate as possible. Preferably, I would like to have this slightly underneath the soil, but since I have pretty loose soil here, I'm just gonna lightly, with this metal rake over here, I like those metal tine rakes, to just lightly kind of rake this in. So it's not gonna be raking, really just kind of dragging that rake around and slightly putting this under the surface. And then I will roll over top of it very lightly with my roller as well. It doesn't need to have a lot of weight in it to pack it down or anything, just to roll that seed into the soil. So that plot is done. This other one right here will be some more ryegrass, of which I'm not gonna tell you what that is yet. I'm just gonna be doing another type of ryegrass, but this one is my Knorr Elite ryegrass right here. This section right here in the middle will be my fescue, so I'll have regular fescue and then fescue with a 15% bluegrass, so it's an 85-15. And then over here on the far side, I will have ryegrass bluegrass right here, and then complete bluegrass 100% on that far section. Those are the plots that I'm going to start with this year. So also remember that there's different rates and different seed sizes for the different types of grasses. So ryegrass and tall fescue will be pretty similar. Tall fescue can be up to 10 pounds per thousand compared to ryegrass, which I just did at 7. Bluegrass is much lower and the seed is much smaller, so it's only about 2 to 3 pounds per thousand for straight bluegrass. The bluegrass ryegrass I'll probably do somewhere around 5 pounds per thousand, but otherwise the fescues will get a little higher rate. And then, as you just saw, about 7 pounds per thousand for the perennial ryegrass. So I just wanted to show you this right before I put it down here. This is bluegrass ryegrass, so it's an 80-20 bluegrass to rye, and look at how small those seeds are. So that was just what I was talking about. You'll have to change your settings a little bit in terms of bluegrass because of how small it is. So there we have it, 6 different test plots. I've been looking forward to this for a long time and finally getting this seeding done. And now we have the adventurous task of trying to water all this stuff at least a couple times a day. And since I don't live here, that's going to be a little bit more challenging than it might seem, but I will do my best on that part too. But I'm excited about getting this stuff going. Like I said, it's early fall, so you just never know what's going to happen. We have a lot of warm days coming up according to the forecast, but it could get cold at any point, so we'll see. Well, I actually almost forgot that I needed to get some fertilizer down on this, so I'm just going to put some 10-10-10 on it. I will do a proper soil test in the spring to dial things in even further, but usually a 10-10-10 or a starter fertilizer is what I would typically use on a bare ground seeding, so that's what I'm going to go with today. Get over there because it's too windy, but the rest of it,
it's gonna get that one.
Yeah, that shouldn't be too hard because I can move it down that way. So we have liftoff on the property for water. Of course, today it's windier than it has been in the last couple weeks when I need to start watering, but that's just how it goes. That's my type of luck. I'm trying out this more fan type sprinkler today, even though it's not good in the wind, because I want to disperse this water over the area and not get too heavy with an impact sprinkler. But once things are kind of set into place and the seed has really settled down in there, I'll probably get more of an impact type sprinkler on there, get some more water out faster than these sort of fan type sprinklers. They're also not as good in the wind, obviously. The impact sprinkler would be just slightly better today, even though they're still going to blow around in the wind. I'm going to probably only be able to water this maybe once a day. We'll see how much I can work out here. Maybe do one in the midday and stay out here a little later and do one right before the evening. We'll see how it goes in the next couple weeks, but the ryegrass should be up, I would think, within probably 5 days or so, if the weather holds out to be what it's supposed to be. Maybe the bluegrass, I don't know. We're probably not going to see much bluegrass this year. One other thing that I forgot to mention is in this section right here, so here is the well. In this section right here, I just planted some ryegrass just to hopefully have some type of cover there before the winter comes. Then over on this section right here, so the plots are right there, and then you got this section right in behind it. That is tall fescue that I planted back there, just again have something to mow, have something to kind of see what it looks like out here next to the plots. Over there, we did plant some wildflowers, but it was kind of windy the day we were doing that. It's a really light seed. So we're gonna see if a lot of that blew away, I'm not sure, but otherwise we will replant that in the spring. So it'll be a big section of wildflowers in behind the plots. I think it will look kind of cool. And also will just give us some variety as to, you know, different types of grass, some native things coming in, and there'll be plenty more to do up on the hill as well for native testing and fun stuff like that. So this whole area back here, I just want to kind of mention that, should be covered with at least some type of greenery, and I think once the transformation happens, it's going to look pretty cool. That is just the start of a lot of fun to come out here. Of course, I will keep you updated on the plots as hopefully we have things growing in at least somewhat here in the next couple of weeks. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.